All right, let's get started. Hello and welcome everyone to today's webinar about how to add support for your IoT device by creating a custom device type. My name is Fabian and I'm the product manager of AKANSA. With me also here today is Marius. He is head of software at AKANSA. Before we start, I invite you to drop all the questions you have into the chat. We will have a Q&A session afterwards where we will be able then to answer your questions. Before we start with the creation of a custom device type, I'd like to share a few words about AKANSA itself. What is AKANSA? AKANSA is the IoT infrastructure that connects, manages multiple devices and connectivities at one single place and processes these data into different applications of your choice. When we have a quick look on the data processing pipeline, you see on the red field where AKANSA comes in place. AKANSA provides you a really smooth integration for multiple LoRaWAN providers, but also different protocol integrations such as HTTP or MQTT. To parse the payload, we use different device types that you will learn more about afterwards. To forward the data, we use different output connectors, such as the AKANSA database to store the data, or also the webhook as an output connector to send the data to further applications. What we have as another feature on AKANSA itself is the rule engine. The rule engine allows you to apply certain business logic to your installation. If, for example, a certain threshold is reached, you can trigger an alarm notification to certain users. In today's webinar, we're going to focus on parsing the payload on the device type. So let's have a closer look on the device type library that we offer to do that. We need device types to encode and decode the payload for uplink and also downlinks. We offer you an extensive device type library with more than 100 different device types from multiple manufacturers. New devices are also continuously added to our open source device library, which you can find on GitHub. If you do not find the device type of your choice on the AKANSA device type library, you are free to use the web-based device type studio to create your own custom device type. And this is now where I hand over to Marius. He will show you how to create your custom device type. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the intro, Fabian, and also a warm welcome from my side. My name is Marius. I'm head of software at AKANSA and leading the engineering of our platform. All right, today I'm going to show you how to actually onboard your own device type on AKANSA itself. But first, let's get some basic understanding of what a device type is. Basically, a device type consists of a decoder used to decode raw sensor data into structured data. This process we call the uplink. Optionally, a device type also contains an encoder, which is used to encode structured data into the sensor-specific format before sending data to a device. This is the downlink path. Each device type must implement an encoder and decoder using the functional interface from AKANSA. On the right-hand side, you see the bare structure of such a function. It's written in JavaScript. You see that you have to implement the function consume, which has a parameter event. In this event parameter, the raw sensor data will be present. In the function body, then the decoding logic needs to be implemented. And as a third step, one or multiple samples, meaning data points, need to be emitted. In the function body, you can make use of our utility library, which provides an easy way to do bitwise operations. And when you have a sensor that sends data with multiple structures, you can use topics to structure the data according to the schema. Let us now look at the concrete example. Payload decoding basically consists of 3 different steps. When you receive data in a hex format, you first convert this hex payload into a bit string or byte array based on preference. Secondly, you extract and convert the bits using the structure provided by the device type manufacturer, by the manufacturer of your device. And third, you emit the result as structured data. For example, we have a simple payload consisting of 2 bytes. The first byte indicates the payload version, which is an unsigned integer, and the second byte indicates the temperature in degrees, which is a signed integer, as the temperature can also be negative. For the payload 011b, which is hex, we first convert this to a bit string. The first 8 bits, meaning the first byte, contains the payload version. When we convert that to an unsigned integer, this yields 1. The second 8 bits contain the temperature. We convert that to a signed integer, this yields 27. All right, the basics are done. Let us now look at how you would do that using AKANSA. For this, let me jump over to the platform. All right. First of all, device types are on the organization level. Let me quickly refresh that page. All right. First of all, device types are on organization level, meaning you can actually reuse the device types within your workspaces. This means if you have multiple projects, you can make use of the same device types again. All right. Let me now add a new device type. For this, I'm heading over to the device type menu and create a new device type. For example, we are going to add my temperature meter. And we're going to add some metadata here. For example, the author is the AKANSA, connectivity is LoRaWAN, available sensor is a temperature sensor, and the encoding of the data is hex. Firmware version 1.0.0, and manufacturer is as well AKANSA. Let us now add an uplink decoder. For this, we create a script. I've already prepared a script. Let me copy that from here. All right. Let me quickly walk you through the script. Again, we see the functional interface using the consume function. On line 2, we are converting the hex payload, which is the raw data, into a bit string. On line 3, we are converting the first byte to a non-signed integer, the payload type. On line 4, we are converting the second byte to a signed integer, the temperature. And finally, on line 6, we are emitting a sample, meaning the structured data using the following structure: on topic default. For testing your device type, you can use the one-time run functionality you see here. For this, you need to place the payload or the event that is passed in this argument prompt. Also here, I've prepared the event already. We are going to pass the example we made before. If the script run is successful, outputs will show below. Let me run that script. Now I have still an error in my syntax. A reference error by string is not defined. So I'm quickly going to fix that. It was on line 3. Now it's bit string. And I run this again. And we see payload type 1 was extracted as well as temperature 27. All right, let us save the script. And let us save the device type. All right. For using your device type, you have to set up a data flow. This defines how data is processed using akenza. For this, we head over to our workspace. I created a workspace called Webinar Device Types and to data flows. All right, for ease of use, we are onboarding an HTTP device now. Let me create a new HTTP connector. And in the middle lane, you now select how your data is processed. We see here the existing device types that are provided by the AKANSA device type library. You can quickly scroll through that. You see a lot of sensors or device types have already been onboarded and are ready to use. If you have your own devices, you need to set up your custom device types. This is what we just did. Custom device types are also shown in this list. I will now select the device type we just created. All right. And as the data destination, the output connector, I'm going to select a AKANSA database to make the data available throughout the platform. All right, let me save this data flow. HTTP temperature flow. All right, next step is setting up a device. For this, we head over to the asset inventory and create the device. All right, this is now an instance of a device that is sending data to the cloud. My temperature device 1 or my temperature meter 1, for example. We are using the data flow we have set up a few seconds ago and proceed. We generate a new ID for this device or add an already existing ID if your device has a physical ID. We create the device and see it in our inventory now. For sending data, we need to head over to the API configuration section. And we need to copy the uplink URL. I'll do just that. And I already prepared in Postman a request for sending data using HTTP. What we need to do, we need to use the method post, we need to use this uplink URL, and we need to choose the body type raw using content type JSON. All right, let us now send an uplink. When sending an uplink, we should see uplink received, confirmation that data was received by the AKANSA platform, and we can head back to AKANSA and refresh. Our device should now show as online. And when we check the message logs, we see that the data has been received. Let me send a second data point using the payload structure we tested with, 011B. Right, let me refresh this page again. And also the second data point has been received. This showed how you can easily set up support for your custom device type. Let's now head back to the slides. All right. Where to continue from here? Try out AKANSA in a 30-day trial on akenza.io and get familiar with our existing device types in the device type library. Also, try out the device type studio, which I just showed, for writing your own device types. For this, refer to the scripting reference in the AKANSA product documentation. You can find this when you head over to docs.akenza.io. And more specifically, under advanced topics and scripting, you find an in-depth introduction into how to write your custom device types. Last but not least, contribute to our open source device type library by adding new device types. It is hosted on GitHub, and also here, I'll quickly show it. It's under akenza.io device type library. Here, you can also find examples of device types if you're unsure how to actually structure your device type. Okay, as there are no more questions, thanks a lot for attending this webinar. And if you have any further questions, do not hesitate to contact us on ask@akenza.io.